debate, Senator Black.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I rise today to address a matter of profound significance, one that strikes at the core of our nation's economic resilience, food security, and rural vitality. That is the glaring absence of substantial support for Canadian agriculture and rural Canada in the 2024 federal budget. In fact, the word agriculture appears only 6 times in the budget. Senators, as chair of the Standing Senate Committee on Agriculture and Forestry and a representative from Ontario, a province steeped in agricultural tradition and innovation, I am compelled to voice deep concerns echoed by farmers, industry leaders, and rural communities across this great nation. The unveiling of the federal budget in April has left a palpable sense of disappointment and apprehension among those who tirelessly toll our farmlands. The Canadian Federation of Agriculture, CFA, and various agricultural associations have expressed their dismay over what they perceive as a missed opportunity to bolster an industry that forms the bedrock of our national prosperity. From the Canadian Federation of Agriculture, which represents 190,000 farm families, quote, CFA disappointed with the lack of agriculture in the federal budget 2024, end quote. From CFA President Keith Currie, I quote, while we understand there are competing priorities for government funds, with erratic weather and high prices tremendously increasing the risk profile of Canadian agriculture, the government can ill afford to ignore food production and Canadian farmers, end quote. The headline on the Grain Growers of Canada news release in April 18, 2024, quoted, Budget 2024 falls short of providing critical investments for grain farmers, end quote. The Wheat Growers Association declared, and I quote, failing grade for an out-of-touch federal budget, end quote. Colleagues, these are just a few of the many, many news headlines which have circulated in the past few months. The message is clear. The 2024 federal budget has missed the mark for Canadian farmers, ranchers, growers, and producers. One of the foremost issues that has garnered widespread attention is the lack of meaningful investment to address ongoing pressing challenges faced by our farmers, ranchers, and growers. The spectre of high interest rates, coupled with the imposition of a carbon tax on essential farming activities, has cast a shadow of uncertainty over the agricultural landscape. Farmers who are already grappling with volatile markets and unpredictable weather patterns find themselves navigating additional financial burdens which have caused many of our Canadian farm families to go out of business. The imposition of a carbon tax has placed undue strain on the agricultural sector, disproportionately affecting farmers, ranchers, growers, and others. In provinces where the federal fuel charge applies, the average consumer receives a rebate to offset the cost. However, farmers, ranchers, and growers are not an average consumer. In many cases, carbon pricing is eroding farmers' ability to sustain their organizations and operations. According to the Grain Farmers of Ontario, they're going to see an additional $2.7 billion worth of expenses associated with the carbon tax due to a recent increase. Simply put, this is not sustainable. This tax, often perceived as a punitive measure, fails to consider the unique challenges faced by farmers in reducing their carbon footprint, and it fails to consider the measures farmers have already taken to reduce their carbon emissions. Furthermore, the absence of targeted financial assistance to offset these costs reflects a missed opportunity to support farmers in adopting sustainable practices and mitigating the effects of climate change. This government missed another opportunity in Budget 2024, then, to support our farmers, ranchers, growers, and producers. An analysis by the Parliamentary Budget Officer on Bill 234, which proposed removing the federal carbon tax from on-farm uses of natural gas and propane, such as grain drying and barn heating, found that farmers would save an additional $978 million between now and 2030 if the tax were removed. Imagine the innovation, colleagues, that would be possible if farmers weren't saddled with the high carbon tax and were able to use that $978 million to invest in innovation. The carbon tax impacts the entire food or supply chain from farm to plate, affecting the cost of food production, transportation, retail, and ultimately the consumer. Canadian farm operations face significant financial pressures due to these taxes, alongside record-high inflation, increasing food prices, housing affordability issues, and the overall cost of living. These financial burdens take a toll, not only on everyday Canadians, but more so on family farms because of the nature of their business. Legislation like C-234 was crucial for the industry and would have helped alleviate some of these pressures. It would have also showed the support of our agriculture community, something they desperately need now. Agriculture is a valuable pillar of our nation's heritage and is crucial to our economy. By addressing the financial strains faced by farmers imposed on them through the carbon tax and high interest rates, we would be showing support for the sector and help to ensure sustainability of Canadian farm families from coast to coast to coast. Colleagues, the absence of targeted financial assistance to offset these costs reflects another missed opportunity to support farmers in adopting sustainable practices and mitigating the effects of climate change, as I mentioned earlier. When it comes to agriculture, we all know that the heightened frequency and severity of extreme weather events exacerbated by climate change pose significant risks to crop yields, livestock health, and overall farm sustainability. Not to mention that these effects have the effects that these have on mental and emotional health of farm families. Events such as prolonged droughts, wildfires, intense heat waves, and unpredictable storms are becoming all too common, putting immense pressure on farms to adapt quickly. These challenges not only threaten the immediate productivity of our agricultural sector, but also undermine the long-term resilience and sustainability of farming operations across the country. This budget's omissions regarding environmental programming, chronic labour shortages, and a critical infrastructure enhancements for the agricultural sector has raised serious questions about the government's commitment to fostering a vibrant and resilient agricultural sector. Farmers need robust support systems to manage these evolving challenges effectively. Unfortunately, the lack of targeted investments in these areas highlights a gap in the current policy approach, leaving farmers to shoulder the burdens without adequate assistance. Investments in climate-smart agriculture, such as drought-resistant crops, precision farming technologies, and sustainable water management practices, are imperative to ensure long-term viability of Canadian farms. However, these practices are not being incentivized by our government, and where funding is available, I've heard from industry that these programs are well oversubscribed. Long-term strategies are not being developed, and delays have caused recipients to miss growing seasons. Colleagues, farmers have been innovating for years, but they want to do more. However, to do so, they need support and direction from government and not more taxes or being saddled with more debt. By investing in innovative and sustainable practices, we can help farmers mitigate the adverse effects of climate change, safeguard food production, and strengthen our rural communities. Additionally, recognizing and rewarding the efforts of farmers who adapt sustainable practices is crucial. As several witnesses have stated in witness testimony in the Agriculture and Forestry Committee, practices like no-till farming have significantly improved soil quality and reduced emissions. However, the costs associated with adopting precision agriculture and maintaining these practices are substantial. Support for these ongoing expenses is necessary to encourage widespread adoption and to ensure that early adopters are also acknowledged for their contributions in earlier times to the sustainable farming. Ensuring that our policies recognize and support the unique challenges faced by farmers will be critical in maintaining the health and productivity of our agricultural lands and securing food for future generations. Yet another missed opportunity in the 2024 budget to support our farmers, ranchers, and growers. That's right. The reverberations of the budget's inadequacies extend beyond economic realms. They strike at the heart of rural life, youth empowerment, and food security. As a senator with a background in agriculture, leadership development, and rural community development, the recent cutbacks, or as the government is framing it, new program funding requirements for organizations like 4-H Canada and Agriculture in the Classroom are particularly disheartening. These types of youth programs not only cultivate leadership skills among all, but they also help to foster a deeper appreciation of agriculture and its role in sustaining our way of life. Programs such as 4-H and Ag in the Classroom are pillars for our youth in rural communities and beyond, who are the futures of our communities and country. They play a crucial role in developing our next generation of leaders, teaching valuable life skills such as responsibility, teamwork, and community engagement. They provide a platform for young people to connect with their peers, share knowledge, and engage in meaningful community service projects. And they learn about the many career opportunities available. The experiences these programs provide are invaluable in fostering a sense of belonging and commitment to rural life, which is essential for the sustainability of our agriculture and rural communities. The cuts to youth programming offered through organizations like 4-H Canada and the Ag in the Classroom represent significant setbacks for our agriculture communities and the broader Canadian society. To truly support rural life and ensure the sustainability of our agricultural sector, it's essential to invest in the future by maintaining robust support for youth development and food security programs. By doing so, we can build stronger, healthier communities and cultivate a new generation of leaders who are committed to ensuring success of Canadian agriculture. Now, colleagues, despite Budget 2024's shortcoming and the fact that there is virtually nothing for the ag sector, there are some positive aspects that warrant acknowledgement. The inclusion of measures to enhance interoperability and digital connectivity in rural areas is a step in the right direction. Access to reliable high-speed internet and digital infrastructure is essential for modernizing agricultural practices, facilitating e-commerce opportunities, and bridging the urban-rural divide. In today's technological-driven world, the ability to connect to the internet is not a luxury, it's a necessity. High-speed internet enables farmers to access real-time data on weather patterns, market prices, and advanced farming techniques, allowing them to make informed decisions and improve productivity. It also opens up new avenues for direct-to-consumer sales through online platforms, providing farmers with greater market reach and higher profit margins. Moreover, digital connectivity can enhance precision agriculture practices, which rely on advanced technologies like GPS, sensors, and drones to optimize crop management and reduce waste. By investing in digital infrastructure, the government will help to ensure farmers and rural communities have the tools they need to adopt these innovative practices, ultimately leading to more efficient and sustainable agricultural operations. But colleagues, in my 6 years in the chamber, I've heard these same promises and commitments by this government year after year after year. It's time to act now and stop making promises. While these re-announced measures are commendable, they represent only a fraction of what is needed to address the multifaceted challenges facing Canadian agriculture. Comprehensive support for the agriculture sector requires a holistic approach that includes not only financial incentives and technological advancements, but also robust policies that address labour shortages, market access, and environmental sustainability. Ensuring the future prosperity of Canadian agriculture will necessitate continued investment in infrastructure, research, and education, as well as collaborative efforts between the government, industry stakeholders, and rural communities. And again, Budget 2024 missed the mark. I've said it once, and I'll continue to say it, our farmers are not merely producers. They are stewards of the land. They are custodians of biodiversity, and they are guardians of rural communities' economic prosperity. The agri-food industry generates roughly $134.9 billion in GDP and provides 1 in 9 Canadian jobs. Canada's farmers are a strategic pillar in our economy and integral for our nation's long-term growth and the fight against climate change. Colleagues, farmers, ranchers, producers, and growers require robust and sustained support to navigate the complex challenges of modern agriculture while preserving our natural resources for future generations. And they've been asking this government for this support for years. I suppose they will have to continue asking because, again, as I said, Budget 2024 missed the mark. The Grain Growers of Canada, the Canadian Cattle Association, and numerous other organizations have voiced their disappointment and underscored their urgent need for substantive action to rectify the budget's inadequacies and deficiencies. Furthermore, as we navigate the complexities of agricultural policy, we can't lose sight of the broader societal imperatives. Agriculture is just not an economic sector, it's a nexus of interconnected issues ranging from land use planning and sustainable resource management to rural infrastructure development and equitable access to nutritious food for all Canadians. As senators entrusted with the responsibility to represent the diverse interests of our constituents, we must advocate tirelessly for the budgetary framework that reflects a deep understanding of agriculture's multifaceted contributions to our nation's well-being. Agriculture needs to be included at all tables in all conversations. If we want to increase our production to feed Canadians in the world with an ever-increasing world population, investments need to be made now. Colleagues, let us not forget that our farmers, ranchers, and producers and growers are the ones responsible for putting food on the table 3 times a day, 365 days a year. Let's not add 365 days a year. Let's not leave them behind. Thank you. Merci.
Senator Wallen, you had a question, but we're out of time.
Yes.
Senator Black, are you asking for 2 minutes? 2 minutes?
5
Quick
minutes.
question, quick answer. Is it agreed, honourable senators, 2 minutes? Do I hear a yes? Yes. Senator Wallen? No? 2 minutes.
I think there's an agreement for what? Sorry, for 1 minute.
Okay, we have an agreement for 1 minute. So Senator Wallen, 1 minute.
I have a couple of questions for Senator Black. Is it true that you are one of 3 people in the last 70 years to be awarded the Canadian Society of Soil Science honorary membership, bestowed on those who have rendered valuable or special service to soil science? Is it true, Senator Black, that you have received this award in recognition of your leadership on the Standing Senate Committee on Agriculture and Forestry, and your work to inspire action, foster collaboration, and ignite a renewed sense of stewardship toward our precious soils? And your strong support led to the successful bid by Canada to host the 24th World Congress of Soil Science? And is it true the honour was bestowed in Vancouver last week? After your presentation on AGFO's groundbreaking, excuse the pun, soil health study report called Critical Ground? And are you aware that we are proud and thank you for the recognition and honour you have brought to this chamber?
Okay. Senator Black, you have about 1 second.
Why? Yes.